Hey guys, this is the jaktkit knv2. I've had this knife for 3 days and I have not cut a single thing with it. I wanted to make a first impressions video out here and I wanted to do it on camera. Now, this is the knv3. I won this in a giveaway and I started working with it. Then I made a small comparison video with the F1, but because of the size of the knv3, I don't really think they're on the same level. But I have worked with it and I have liked this knife, and this one was offered to me by Magnus. He wrote me a message asking me if I wanted to test this knife. I responded, yes, I would like to test it, but please watch some of my videos, see what I do with the knives when I test them, and if you're okay with that, me batoning the knife for splitting wood and cross grain batoning to see if it chips or breaks, some prying, maybe chopping, if that all is okay with you, then send the knife and I'll test it and I'll tell my opinion about it on camera. I really enjoyed reading his answer, which was simple. A good knife should be able to take that. It's not a common practice. This is why I enjoy ESEE knives, because they have a no questions asked warranty, except for rust, which makes sense because they're made of carbon steel. If you don't take care of them, they will rust and possibly break. So whenever I hear that, go ahead, test the knife. Go crazy, and I think it'll take it. I'm happy. So I came out here gathering some wood and I'm walking all around the woods. Said I'll find this nice place to do the introduction, after which I will let the tests speak for themselves. But a bit about the knife. Now, the sheath is on my belt right here. Is pretty much like the knv3, only a bit larger. It has this Kydex sheath and Cordura backing with Velcro. What I'm missing on the knv2 sheath, as well as on the knv3, would be a button snap. I'm not saying it's completely necessary, but I think I would feel a bit safer. As is, the knife is pressed against your side, but there is a very unlikely chance that it will fall. But I would like it like that. What I do like about the sheath is the fact that the knives fit in the sheath very well. There is a soft click and they don't rattle. I mean, if you shake it like this, let me just hold the backing, you will hear a small rattle. But if you're going through this vibrations, I think the knife rattling in your sheath is the least of your problems. Now, the handle. This is the knv3 first generation. This is the knv2 Gen 2. And what they did here is use a different material for the handle. This one is a bit softer. The grip is excellent, but if you will hit the knife with a baton on the handle, it will deform the grip quite fast. That's the downside. The upside is very good grip. Wet hands, cold hands, it will be really grippy on your fingers. I really like this, and as a neck knife or a backup knife, a hiking knife, I think this is an excellent piece of kit. Now, the knv2 has this firmer TPEE handle. I don't know if I'm gonna like it yet. I have not worked with it. I think I like the knv3s more because it's softer, grippier, but that remains to be seen, how it handles impact. Thickness, you can see it, 5.1 millimeters. Blade, much larger. And I do like the grind. One of the things that I wasn't too keen on was the steep edge angle, which is about 30 degrees per side. In some cases this might work, especially with convex grinds where there is not a lot of metal backing up the edge. it will help the knife keep a good edge and not mess with the cutting performance at the same time. But like I said, that remains to be seen. One of the things that I really like that they made different here, they kept this exposed tang, which could be good for a few things, but they moved the hole a bit higher, closer to the butt of the knife. And I think that's a good thing, because this is a heavier knife, a bigger knife. I will put a pinky lanyard on it and I will chop with it, and I think it will be a good chopper. Now, I'm not saying that a 4.5, 5-inch blade is a good chopper, but if you can use it as such, why not? I mean, we're all talking about these all-purpose knives, and if you can adapt them to be even more versatile, why not? I like the sharpening choil. If you sharpen this knife a number of times, you'll still get good results because you have this big sharpening choil. A lot of manufacturers don't do that, but I think this was a good idea. And the spine is very rounded. This is for comfort if you have to probably put your fingers on it. I will not modify this to strike a ferrocerium rod. I will leave it as is. Now, after some testing, I will probably compare this knife, probably with the F1, most likely also with the Bravo 1, because I feel this is sort of in the same category as the Bravo 1, because if you put it next to the F1, you will get sort of the comparison that I made with the knv2 and the F1. One is significantly larger. So far I like it, but I have not cut any wood with it. After, like I said, I'm done with the initial testing, I will probably modify the edge angle to see if I can push the steel and see what happens with a lower edge angle, how it holds an edge. Now this steel is 99 CR 18 MOV. The knv3's is 9 CR 18 MOV, and yet I have not gotten any chips or bends in this edge. Very happy with that. I thought I did last time. Went home and stropped it. Before I started to fix it, I said, oh, let me check on a piece of paper, see where it is, and it wasn't there. So very, very happy about it. Now this is a smaller knife, but I think it's good for general tasks if you don't really need to process that much wood. Food prep, cutting something, making feather sticks, all around chores. I think this will do it. But I'm much more fond of a bigger blade, more capable in my opinion. So far, there's not one thing I don't like about it, but we'll see that after testing. I think I'll let the test speak for itself. If something happens, you will see it on video. And afterwards, if enough people will want a comparison, especially with the F1, I think I'm up for it. So, I hope you'll enjoy the rest of the video, guys. I have been asked a lot of times, why chop with a 4-inch blade? Surely a big knife is a better chopper. You can use your saw and hatchets, get the job done much faster. When I hike in here, I usually like to have a walking stick. Sometimes it will be muddy, and it really helps to have another point to secure in the mud so you don't slip and fall. I don't like to cut green wood. There's plenty of greenwood here, plenty of hazel saplings that you can cut with a pocket knife, a very small pocket knife. You just bend the sapling and you cut where the bend is. It just goes through in one easy cut. But I don't like to do that. I will take stuff like this, which is here. Nobody's going to use it. If I don't use it, it's going to rot away. And this will make for a great walking stick. The other branch will make for a great skewer. So I can use this, and I don't need to have my saw or my hatchet with me. I only need to have this. I use this pinky lanyard, put it around my pinky, because wrist lanyards bother me. When I work with the knife, if I don't put the lanyard around my wrist, it'll get in the way. But this will not get in the way. See that? It does not get in the way. You can even grab it in your hand while you work with it. It does not bother you. And this way, this 4-inch knife becomes a decent chopper. Of course, it has to have some weight, and the grind has to be decent. Now, this is my concern. With this steeper edge angle, it will probably want to jump out of the cut a bit. So you have to be very careful and control it and not put any limbs in the way of this knife, because it might just want to jump out. Let's see it work. That's how fast you can get a walking stick. If you have a knife that has some decent weight to it and a good grind. I like convex ground knives for general tasks. And I think stuff like this is what you will usually do when you go camping or out in the wild. Walking stick, a baton, split some wood, feather it, make your fire, maybe make some tent pegs, then prepare some food. When you have a knife that has a 5mm thick blade, I think your options are expanding, because you can use it as a chopper, you can use it as a splitting tool. You can abuse it a bit without worrying it will break. So far, I'm happy with this one. I used it to chop a few types of wood, and I did check it to see. I don't have any paper with me to slice, but I could not feel or see in the sunlight any chips, which is good. Now, the fact that it has rather steep edge angle makes things a bit more difficult. However, it is still sharp. It's not shaving. It will, I don't know if you can see them. maybe in the sunlight, it will take off hairs after everything I did. There they are. But you do have to push a bit harder. So it's not shaving sharp, but it's still working sharpness, which is nice. The fact that it doesn't chip, even nicer. I work with gloves for the most of the time, especially when I was batoning and for a bit of chopping, but I did chop with it without gloves, and I did feather some wood. The handle is thicker than with the knv2 or the F1. Fills your hand much better, and I do like the guard. One thing that did surprise me was the fact that I kept using this spike right here from the choil. When I sometimes would remove bark, I used to start right there. I don't know why, I noticed it. And I do want to choke up on it, but my finger still stays locked in the guard. And I like that. Like I said, I like the positioning of the lanyard hole. It makes way more sense to have it here than anywhere here or in the middle of the knife. Because this way, it makes the knife a much better chopper. With gloves or without gloves, I felt it very stable in hand. The only damage that did occur is the guard. Now, I did put it through some rough pieces of wood, and I did hit it on the back of the handle a few times. That caused nothing, not very many times. However, as I kept batoning it, going closer and closer to the guard, that actually did sustain some damage. But the blade is solid in the handle. It does not move in the handle. If it would move, that would pretty much be a deal breaker. It happened to me on a different knife. I may publish that video someday. But so far, very happy. It held its edge, no chips, no real damage from my point of view. If the guard breaks off, we'll see. But so far, happy. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about the knv2, any suggestions, please let me know. For me, the next step will probably be modifying the edge angle to my liking. I wanted to keep it like this because I wanted to present the knife to you guys sort of out of the box. I didn't do very much feather sticking with it. Of course, it can be done. Any knife will do it. All it has to do is be sharp. And with a knife that has a rubber handle, the discomfort will be minimal. However, as I found out with my Mora Bushcraft Black, in the summer, if your hands get sweaty, it might cause blisters faster than my Carta or wood handles. I can't say anything to that, but for comfort in hand while feather sticking, this fills the hand much better than the knv2 or the F1, and I'm happy. But like I said, the next thing will be to modify the edge angle, lower it, see how it does then, and maybe do a comparison. If you have any suggestions, let me know. If there's something you would like to see, let me know. Any comments on the video, also put them in the comment section and I'll get to them as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and as always, I wish you all a great day. And just to make things more interesting, I'm gonna go here where the knot is. Now I hope you can see this wood was no sissy. I think the knife did a good job.